Cody, I'm hearing a lot of information out in the marketplace about first-time home buyer money. Does it have to be a first-time home buyer? What kind of grants are available? And if I'm not sure that I can even qualify, and I don't have a lot of money to put down, or my credit's not where it needs to be, what are you doing to help me get into a house these days?
Sure, good question, Matt. We've got lots of different programs we've got available. Some have 0% down that are available. We've also got some that are as little as 3 or 3.5 programs that most everybody else can qualify for. Along with those programs, we've also got some down payment money that will help with that down payment. So if you're only needing 3%, the grant can help take care of a lot of that down payment for you. Then we work with the agents to help get the seller to pay some of your closing costs, so that helps alleviate the burden of that extra cost on there too. So a lot of times we've had a lot of people buy homes and bring $500 or $1,000 to closing, so it makes buying a home definitely affordable nowadays. So
yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about the credit scores again. I mean, ideally, any suggestions? If I don't really know where my credit is, but I know it's just not fantastic, what are some of the first steps I can do to find out about my credit? And where do you suggest I go for that?
Sure. Well, we can take a look. I can pull your credit and take a look at it. That way we know really exactly where you're at and how we're going to look at it. There are other sites like Credit Karma that give you an idea of where your scores are, but those scores aren't exact. By me pulling it, I see exactly how the scores are, and then from there we can decide how we want to work with it. How far are we from getting a home? Maybe you're already qualified and you didn't even know it, or maybe it's just a matter of waiting another month or two, or just paying down a little credit card, and that might get your scores up there. So there's definitely a lot of options that we can do to help that.
Yeah, that's a good question, and sorry for interrupting. So let's say I'm carrying a higher balance on my credit card. Where do you want to see the balance be, number one? And number two is, if I pay my balance down on my card, how soon am I going to see my credit increase?
Sure.
On my credit report?
So they like to, it kind of goes in tiers, so you definitely don't want to be maxed out or above it, because that's really hurting your scores. Then there's like 75% of what your balance is, so whatever you owe to what your extra balance is of the card helps. So you want to be below 75, below 50, below 33%. Every tier scores go up a little bit more and more. And then so we work with that, because some people with a 580 score, you pay that down, it may jump up to a 600 by just paying $400 down on a credit card, which qualifies you maybe for a grant or qualifies you for a whole new program.
Awesome. So how long does that take? I mean, from the time I pay it down to the time my credit score increases?
Sure. It can take anywhere from 30 to 60, 90 days, just depending on how when the Bureau's report, when it was pulled. We've got actually faster ways to get that done. We can get it done in 3 to 5 days. We've done that for a lot of customers, because you don't want to wait 90 days to buy the house and have to wait for all that to be repaired and then find out how it is, because a lot can change in 90 days also. So you may raise one card, you pay one card down, but then if another card goes up, it doesn't give you the effect that you'd like, where we can actually get it rescored in 3 to 5 days, so It's all done really quick, and then we can get you pre-approved in a matter of a week instead of waiting for 3 or 4 months for that to happen.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the bottom line at the end of the day, the people that we come across, that we see, a lot of times tend to think for themselves. They put themselves out of the game before the game's even started. So by simply talking to you, it doesn't cost them any money.
Nope. I pull the credit, no charge to you. It doesn't cost. I give free advice on what to do on the credit. So we just try to help the customers get to the house if they can. But you're right. A lot of people think because they've got a certain score that they've got to, because there is lots of myths about mortgages out there. People just think you had to have 680 or even a 640, but we go down to 580. We've gone down to 540s for credit score for the right people too. So there's definitely a lot of options for that out there. You don't have to have excellent credit. So there's definitely some options for people.
Okay, so let's talk about down payment. Typically, we see people out there that are requiring 10 to 20% down. If I don't actually have the money in my bank account, what are some sources I can use to come up with some down payment? Or what about these zero down payment programs? Tell me what's available.
Sure, good question. Yeah, a lot of people, especially first-time home buyers, are under the myth that they need 20% down, which definitely isn't the case. We can do 3%, 3.5% down. We can do, depending on different programs where you're buying, you might have to qualify for a 0% program. But also there's grants out there to alleviate the down payment burden of that too. So, and even if you can't qualify for the grant or you need a little more money, we can get money can be gifted from a family, you can borrow it from a 401k, you could even get in a loan if you needed to help kind of pay for that down payment. So there's definitely a lot of options that we can steer you in the right direction to help you pay, so you're not putting off buying a home for years when you really could buy one very soon.
Right, because there's this thing called appreciation.
Yep, absolutely.
And we're in hopes that the values will go up. Not always, but we like to make sure they go up. And there's also a mortgage interest deduction. So if you're renting right now or not owning, you don't necessarily get you don't get a write off your interest portion on your loan, which is another advantage.
Yep, and you're actually paying down your loan that you've gotten too. So not only are you saving money from tax write-offs and interest, but you're also building your own equity besides the appreciation of the value, but you're also paying down the assets, so you're building money that way also. So instead of paying somebody else's house off for them, you can pay off your own house.
Right, yeah, that's awesome. Great information. So the other thing is, how long does it take, or how painful is it for me to find out if I qualify or not?
It does not take very long at all. We can do it in a matter of 10-15 minutes usually. At least I ask a bunch of questions, just kind of see where we are, make sure job, time, and different things make sense, that it's something we can do. And then from there, if it sounds good, I will pull credit. Even if you don't have great credit, we can still pull it just to see exactly where you're at. And then from there, we get advice on where you can go. So really, it takes me 10-15 minutes to pull the application, ask you the right questions. And then from there, it depends on how the credit looks and how fast we get you pre-approved. Might get you pre-approved that same time, or might give you some advice on how to get approved in the near future.
What are some questions you might ask?
Just kind of what kind of job you have. It gets tricky on the type of job. If you're full-time, if you're part-time, do you get commission? Are you self-employed? So all those play a part on getting approved. How much money you have as assets. If you've got a 401k, that we don't need it, but it helps having money in the bank to prove that you can afford a house. So if your credit's not good, but you've got a 401k, everything looks great there. So that helps your buying power to make up for that.
Yeah, good information. So, pulling my credit, is that going to hurt my credit?
It depends on how many times you've had other people pull it. If you've had a lot of people pull it, it could definitely ding it. But if I'm going to be the first one, or you've only had a couple in months, it really shouldn't affect it.
You got to start somewhere.
That's
This is like taking a fingerprint of your financials, your workplace. It's painless. It's a phone call. If you're not available during the workday, we can even call you after hours and make it all work, because obviously you're here to help facilitate their opportunity, to get into a home which perhaps they didn't think they could get into. So That's awesome. Okay, thanks Cody, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.